Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
Dan.
This is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to review Stranger Things Attack of the Mind Flayer. This is...
That's the name of the show.
Okay. Yeah, so this is Netflix produced this game. We saw, basically at Gen Con, we saw like 3 TV show IPs
Yeah.
for board games. Ozark and Squid Games were the other 2. Stranger Things. Now, specifically, not that we don't have an opinion about Ozark or Squid Games, but we haven't played them yet. We specifically zeroed in on Stranger Things, not only because we love the IP. I think everybody here more or less enjoys the show.
I also haven't
right?
seen the other 2 shows yet.
Fair enough.
Ozark is fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
But we are a friend of the show, Joey Vigour,
Friend of the show.
also is the designer of this game. Now, this is sort of a re-implementation of a previous game of his.
Yep.
So we kind of already knew how to play. We knew what to expect.
Yep.
But we're happy for Joey. This is really exciting. He gets his, gets a game of his out with a big name IP. Super exciting. So yeah, full disclosure, we do personally like the designer.
Yep.
So take all of that what you will with our review.
Yeah.
So gameplay, I guess we can talk about gameplay first, right?
Sure.
Gameplay, you're all going to be one of these little Stranger Things characters. Well, they're all the kids from the show, blah, blah, blah. They're all here. You either start with a waffle card or a Mind Flayer card. How'd you get all the Mind Flayers out and none of the waffles?
No, those are the extra player cards.
Oh, got it.
Ta-da!
Yeah. And then, so that's going to tell you what you start the game as. Then you're going to get a hand of 3 cards.
Added to
As
it.
long as you don't get 3 hard hits, which will knock you out, which will flip your coaster over. Then if you get three hard hits, you've got to reshuffle, redeal, get some new cards. But this can turn you into a Mind Flayer. So you may start the game before getting your cards with just a waffle, but then get 3 Mind Flayer cards, which will then turn you into a Mind Flayer.
I don't believe you.
So 3 Mind Flayer cards at any time, unless you have something that cancels one out, turns you into a Mind Flayer. You're now on the other team.
Right.
Or 3 hard hits, unless you have something to cancel it out, knocks you out. And then you're more or less out for the rest of that round. The game will be played in 3 rounds where you're going to go through the whole deck. 3 different points during the deck, you're going to call a meeting. So you're going to get one of these cards with this background. There's several of them that you shuffle in. They do different things. You'll resolve the meeting. Usually it's like exclude somebody from the meeting or switch seats, things like that. But then what's going to happen is you're going to take 2 cards from your hand. One, you're going to give it to the player to your right. The other one, you're going to give it to the player to your left. And then you're going to take the 2 cards that was given to you. You're going to shuffle them together and then add them to your hand. So this is one of the ways the Mind Flayer can
spread its influence.
Spread. So if you are a Mind Flayer, you are the only one that can pass Mind Flayer cards in this way. If you're not a Mind Flayer, you cannot get rid of Mind Flayer cards from your hand. You can also pass hard hits and things like that. Anything. You can pass anything if you're the Mind Flayer. If you're not the Mind Flayer, you can pass anything but a Mind Flayer card. And then really the most fun part of the game is you're just going through the deck. You flip over the top card of the deck and you're like, okay, this is a hard hit. Really, nobody wants to take a hard hit.
Nope.
But
Someone's got to.
somebody's got to.
I can take it.
So whoever's turn it is they can't take the card themselves, so they have to give this card to somebody else. So, Dan said, I can take it. Well, I'm going to give it to Dan. Now, there is some strategy there because maybe I don't want to give it to Dan because Dan might pass that back to me when we have the meeting later on. But also, like, we had this talk because there's the possibility a Mind Flayer card comes up, right? So even though I'm not the Mind Flayer, if I've got to give this card to somebody, I don't want to give it to the Mind Flayer because it is a card that then the Mind Flayer has another Mind Flayer card to pass.
I can take it.
Right. Or you also don't want to turn somebody else into a Mind Flayer.
Unless you are the Mind Flayer, in which case that's a good strategy.
Unless they have more points than you, and you want them to be on the losing
that's
team.
a good point.
Yeah.
Strategy.
And then a strategy that comes up, especially when we play with a higher player count, is like, well, you can only pass cards with your neighbors, right? So even if I think these guys are fine. I need my neighbors to be cool. So I'm going to give it to Spencer because he's not my neighbor, right? You're trying to get that. Sometimes you're
that
getting
way
those.
He can't pass it to you.
Yeah, you're getting those cards as far away from
switch
you.
Seats and
So you're trying to get the cards, some of the bad cards, as far away from you as possible. But there's also, let's see, there's a hard hit, Mind Flayer, hard hit. Come on, there are good cards in here.
Those are just the.
Oh, these are all the bad ones.
Player count. What are you looking for?
Oh yeah, a helping hand. So a helping hand will cancel out a hard hit, and then memories will cancel out a Mind Flayer card. But if you're already a Mind Flayer, you're still always going to be a Mind Flayer.
They got nice iconography on there, right? So the Mind Flayer's got this little star on here, and it tells you, like,
It's like the Demigorgon's mouth open
right,
up.
but the cassette's got the star crossed out, so it tells you that it's canceling out.
Yep. And then the same thing with the hard hit and
the med kit or whatever.
Oh, you guys gave me bad cards.
Well,
what are you talking about?
You gave me a Mind Flayer and a hard hit.
Matter
you
of
perspective.
perspective.
But yeah, so I mean, essentially that's how the game is played. You go through the whole deck, then the players who started as Mind Flayers either start growling. We were in a loud room when we were playing, so we just had the starting Mind Flayers stand up. So then starting Mind Flayers stand up, and then anybody else that is still awake, if they are a Mind Flayer, they stand up. If there is at least one person not possessed, the human team wins. If everybody's possessed, then the Mind Flayer team wins. Then you will score, if you win, how many waffle cards. You get a point for each waffle card in your hand. Then you shuffle all up. You do it again. You do this a total of 3 times.
Yeah, we don't do the stand-up thing. Oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Technically, the series of play is a variant, too. You can just play once. But
oh, sure.
Sure.
But
boring. Well, not boring, but play the 3.
Yeah, play the 3.
It doesn't take that long.
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah. It makes it more interesting.
We taught this game to 2 new players. Everybody else had played a version of this.
Yeah, the growl version of it. Yeah.
But so the learning curve was very easy, but this game is also super easy to teach, super easy to learn. So, I mean, basically, you now know how to play the game. If what we said to you makes sense, you know how to play the game.
Probably not.
And 3 rounds, I mean, really just, it took us, what, 35 minutes? 35 minutes?
Maybe with teaching.
To play a full game of this with teaching, if it took that long. So anyways, let's talk components. What's in the box?
Okay, there's going to be some knocks here.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I will say graphic design I think is really solid.
Yeah.
I think all the coasters are really cool. I like that
nice,
aspect of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I like.
Gives you a place to set the
I
cards.
actually really like this artwork. It's again, it's kind of like the villainous thing I talked about, where it looks like a photograph that was just kind of redrawn or has a filter over it to make it look like a photo. But yeah, you can see there's Mr. Harrington there, and then the other side, all their eyes are closed, which is a little creepy looking.
Yeah.
But that's them being all knocked out, possessed, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that's nice. The coaster quality.
Coaster quality is
nice.
good. The graphic design on the cards is really good. The iconography is strong, and it all makes sense. It's very clear. It's very easy.
There's only so many cards. So.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the edges of these cards we've only shuffled a handful of times.
Now here's the knock.
Yeah.
Here's the knock: is we have barely played this game fully more than 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And the edges of the cards are already showing like a ton of wear.
Yeah.
I mean, when I pulled them out of the box today, before we played, I don't think this one has been played yet. Oh, no, the one time at Gen Con. And I pulled them out, and I was like, are they already fraying? Like, these cards are terrible.
Yeah, they're cheap. You'll
want to sleeve them. And then see how long they last.
Yeah, because that way you can't tell the worn one. And it's like, oh, this one's the Mind Flayer card. It's like how worn it is.
Right.
Because you will shuffle these a lot. These cards are constantly being handled, so they're
being held in someone's hand.
It's not like some games where you just put that card down and you don't worry about it for a while.
Yeah.
This is a game where you are constantly shuffling your cards around in your hand, passing them.
Especially if it's like more like a party type game, or like maybe drinks on the table or whatnot. You know, you're sliding.
Yeah,
stuff.
the card quality sucks.
Yeah.
It's too bad. The graphic design and everything I think is really good.
On the same point of the card quality sucks, I think the box quality is pretty bad too. It just feels really cheap. Like, I don't know what it
thin
is.
Cardboard.
But it just feels cheap.
Wish I had some micrometers to see how thick that is.
But
insert, does it function?
Yeah,
insert's functional.
Insert's fine. I will say though, I have opened it a couple times with it not being moved much, and the cards have gotten loose from there.
They don't sit in the well very well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Now let me see one of those cards.
I think the reason they don't stay in the well is because the well is actually a nice well where it has the tilt
correct
thing in it. But because of that, they'll accidentally tilt up sometimes and then slide out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just
They'll
looking
fit
at
sleeves,
it,
I think, right?
yes, that's what I was going to say. There's enough room around the edges where the sleeved cards should fit. The only thing I would worry about then is the height.
Yeah.
Right,
So
because it's going to add thickness.
Your height's going to go
the
up.
height's going to be a little, and again, like I said, is like this seems fine, but I think it's just that tilt
Since
is
it
in
does
there,
that.
and like these are sliding out because I keep finding cards in here. And then one more thing for me is I wanted some of those event cards because if you look, well, where's the pool one? That was the one that was face up on the table a second ago. So this is just weird. These are 3 completely different art styles. I mean, we have this this kind of whatever you call edited thing.
Photorealism.
Yeah, we have just a photo of real people, and then we have these hand-drawn, stylized things, which I know Tim was kind of liking. I don't love because it's so basic, but at the same time, that's what it needs to be. And I just think that part of that comes from the fact that the game that this is based on has such stunning art that I think that I just might be comparing it to that.
I would say that's yes.
But yeah, it's just weird having 3 completely distinct art styles.
Right. If they would have done like the photorealistic on this to match this, then the 2 wouldn't have been as bad. But to have a 3rd one in there is kind of weird.
Rulebook is totally fine. It's just a trifold, whatever you call it, and I had no problem learning how to play and teaching it and everything.
Plus,
and
it's a reskin of a game we all know.
Yep.
So
but the rules are clear. They're we did go over it just to make sure that in case there's any differences or anything like that.
Right.
So.
And I do think that to go what you were saying on a second ago that the rule book is nice because we've played it before. I do think more people are going to play this version than Growl.
Yeah.
Because it's Stranger Things.
Yep.
So it did need to be easy to teach.
Right.
You know, the mass, like everyone. It needs to be able to teach people that don't know Growl.
Right. And I do believe that since this one will probably be in big box stores.
So this one is going to be
Growl will not be.
Right. This is going to be more accessible.
Right.
And have a wider appeal because of the IP.
Correct.
Right.
But I think that's it for components.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't said yet. I guess I like the box art.
Oh, yeah, box
I like
art's
the
good.
upside down thing.
Yeah, it's the same as these.
This isn't components, I guess. I don't know. It kind of is. It is very weird to me, unless I'm misremembering something. Everyone here has seen the show, right? Spencer, you haven't seen season 3.
Just not season 3.
Why does the memory thing counter the Mind Flayer?
It's a videotape.
It's a videotape.
It's
not a
music
cassette
one.
tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's because when they're trying to talk to Will and when Will's in the hospital bed, kind of possessed. And they're talking to Will about the stuff,
I was just trying
Stuff
to.
that
I couldn't
happened.
rationalize this in my head, but I haven't seen season 3 in a while. You guys let us know in the comments why this is the card they chose.
Right.
Why this is the item they chose to counteract the Mind Flayer's possession.
Right.
Because I don't remember.
I could see if it was like the Vecna, and then you have a regular music cassette tape. Makes total sense.
Right. But then Vecna possessing people would make sense. So
he's just breaking them into.
But anyway, that was it. I remembered that at the last second.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so we'll do final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
All right, guys. Spencer, why don't you throw us your final thoughts first?
Okay. Well, I want to point out that this is a short game, but there is player elimination. So if you get eliminated in the beginning, you're just sitting there doing nothing for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But again, it's only 10 or 15 minutes, and then you get to play the next round.
I mean, if that for one
I
round.
would say, it's not even that long.
It depends on who's playing and how many.
8.
Sure.
But, if you get eliminated in multiple rounds, then you might as well not be playing.
Well,
it's a thing to consider.
Except for the fact that you do still get
twice.
points, even if you're eliminated. So
Correct.
you can still
win. And that's another thing that I've never liked about this game or Growl is that I only get points if I have waffles in my hand. Even if my team wins, if I'm one of the original people on my team and I get my team to win, if I have no waffles in my hand, it was for butt kiss. I got nothing for it.
Yeah.
And I've always hated that. At least 1 point because
one point for winning.
That also only matters if you do the series of play thing, right?
Well,
if you just play one round,
no, you could still get 1 point for winning the one round.
Win and still have 0
I would
points.
just say though, if you're only playing one round, it's just your team wins, you win, right? Like the points are useless unless you start carrying it over. It doesn't matter. But
then
degrees
cards
of winning.
Useless.
Correct. It's just a dead card you hand out, so because you don't want to hand people Mind Flayers and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, this is a game that we've played and know very well. I don't have too much else to say about it other than that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, like I agree with like some of the component issues and whatnot. Like I do like the art. I like that these coasters are big enough to where you can set the cards on them and everything. That makes it easy to keep which ones have been passed and which ones are not. I didn't notice this art because I couldn't see it on the table very well, and that is very weird to have the third style. The gameplay I think is fine. I think it's a very decent transition from the original Growl to this one, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, that is one of my favorite implementations of a werewolf style hidden roll types of games. Jostling for cards and whatnot. Like, I could really use that. I'll remember that. Next time and get you something good back. Like, to me, I enjoy that more than just like trying to make up a roll or something like that, like in a standard werewolf type of game and trying to make it all.
Yes, those interactions is the sweet spot of the game. Yeah, right. Is the negotiating for the cards, or not get the cards.
Well, you just got one of those, so I know you could take another one of those. Yeah.
Well, if you give me that, it'll kill me.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's why in the last round I did not say that for multiple times when people said if I could take it. I stayed silent and everyone ignored me. And then finally at one point I said, I can't take it. And he
gave it to you anyway.
I was like, that's why I wasn't saying it.
But that's basically my final. I would sleeve these cards because of the quality.
For sure.
A question about the art. I didn't see season 3. So is the Mind Flayer ever actually seen in?
Yes.
And he looks
multiple times.
I'm assuming that the Mind Flayer does not look like that.
It looks exactly like that.
It's not an illithid.
It's not that art
This
style.
is Netflix. They have the rights to the actual picture on the show.
Well, that looks
almost exactly like what
I believe that is a representation of a drawing.
Yeah, because one of the kids draws.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Okay.
And that's kind of looks like what he was
sense,
drawing.
Having not seen it.
Yeah, Will.
Yep.
Daniel.
I'm of two mindsets here because I obviously come from a mindset of I've played Growl and have enjoyed Growl, and this is a step back, like production value-wise, right? And that's sad. But at the same time, like what I was trying to say earlier, this also isn't necessarily for those people. This is for like fans of Stranger Things. This is going to be an affordable game that is going to be really accessible, that is and that is going to have this art and everything on the front, and those people like that are just fans of Stranger Things and just want to find a fun game are going to find a fun game here.
Yeah,
that's true. And so I kind of have two mindsets here, like to where personally it's a bit of a step back production-wise. Obviously, gameplay-wise, it's the same. So you kind of pick the theme and stuff that you like more. But I mean, Growl went so over the top that like there was one version of it that had like
a blue sleeve,
a sleeve on it that makes it look like a werewolf is eating the box and stuff. It's just like it's
higher
crazy
quality
over
cards,
the top.
nicer art.
But for the people that this is for, I think it's a really good game. Like this is what they want, you know? And so they did a good job here. It's easy to teach, it's fast to play. It has a theme they like that ties into the show, ties into the theme. I do think that even like the general public, like everyone that plays this game are going to want to look into sleeves. And I think that's not something that like
people are used to.
That kind of that people are used to. The idea of
like,
that.
Like sleeve cards. I would have thought about it. Yeah, because it's not something they're used to.
So they had a target audience, and I think that they nailed it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what they cared about as a business, and that makes sense.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's kind of where I land here, I guess.
Yeah, so I need to start going before Dan because you said a lot of exactly what I was
that's why I like going first during these things because that way like I get my thoughts out there without crossover.
Because I mean all of you guys make a lot of really good points. I will say though that the scoring system does not bother me like it bothers Spencer, but that's a personal opinion, right? I mean that's what
which you're not entitled to.
Yeah. But the scoring thing does not bother me. I absolutely love Growl, the original version of this. This is the same game. To me, again, the original version of this has superior artwork and components, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if those two games are sitting on a shelf at a big box store right next to each other, 9 out of 10 times, this one is being purchased.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. That is great because
getting people in the hobby.
This is getting people in the hobby. This is a kind of game. I love the original version of this game, and if I went to somebody's house that wasn't a gamer, and they were like, "Oh, you want to play Stranger Things, like Attack of the it's just really fun," I'd be like, "I'm in."
Yep.
And I wouldn't even bring up the original. I would just be like, "Hey, you got this game you love."
I'm honestly trying to avoid it in this review only because I think most people that watch this aren't gonna know Growl.
Yeah,
so
I would say that this is a very if the other one sounds more interesting to you, go find it. It's probably harder to get. this cost-wise will be very accessible. This will be very easy to find. Buy some penny sleeves. You can get them at the same big box store. You can get them right next to the baseball cards. Yeah. Get some penny sleeves, throw them on here, and you're good. You'll be good for a while. I will say the equivalent of these in the other game, these are better.
These are better
because
they're bigger.
That's
true.
Because
they're smaller rectangles, and they're not as. I mean, the tiles are the same quality or whatever, but like to use them to actually place the cards on, this was perfect and really worked well. This is a game design. This is a game design that I love. Right, already loved out of the gate. I didn't even really have the issues with the art quality. My only issue with this game is the card component, like the card quality.
Stock. Yeah, the card stock.
Yeah, the card stock is not great. Again, penny sleeve it. You'll be fine.
Which, speaking of, by the way, there are 70 cards in the game.
Okay, so one pack of 100 sleeves, you're good to go.
Gives you some extras.
Yeah.
Put your extras, little hint here, any extra sleeves you have, put them underneath your insert, so that way when you have ripped sleeves, you can pull them out and you're getting sleeves from the same one, because sometimes they're just, when you buy different packs, they're off a little bit, and it's annoying. So put your extra ones underneath there, and you got backups.
Pro tip. But yeah.
Or don't do anything Bob says.
Well.
But honestly, this is a really good game. And yes, this is so accessible. Like I was so excited for Joey that he got a game that I like on it with a good IP. You know what I mean? A very popular IP, because this is a game that I've always like shouted from the rafters. You know, like this is a good game
from the beginning of our show.
I have been a champion for this game. So now that it's going to get out to like a mass market, a wider audience, I'm very excited because like Bob said, this is the kind of game that people are going to play, and it's a little bit more. There's just a little bit more, right, than your average game. You know, your Monopoly or your Clue
or something.
You know, and so this is like, oh yeah, like.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you start digging in a little bit, and this is a really good like fish hook, right? Or a Mind Flayer. You're gonna seep in there and
speaking
and
of Gateway, I'm personally really excited that people are going to play this, and then they're going to be like, oh, let's try Growl. I hear that's kind of similar. They're going to play that. And then someone's going to be like, oh, let's play like Werewolf.
Yeah.
I hear that's
I think they'll go from this
similar.
to Blood on the Clock Tower, like right away.
Then they play Werewolf, and they're like, oh, I hear this Blood on the Clock Tower game, and they move there, and now I have a bunch of people play
they're not even going to play anything else. They're going to play this, and then they're going to go, I'm going to find this $150 3-hour social deduction game after I just played this $20
it's like
20 minute. It's the
same thing. Same thing.
Not the same thing. But anyways, no, I'm really excited about this. I'm really happy that this is the way that it is.
Yep.
This game is back. This is a game that I love, and it is back. It's got a different look, but it's back. So let's go in and we'll all give it our final rating. Daniel.
Dan, how does that work? Okay, so we're each going to rate this game from 1 to 10. We do use 0.5s just to give us some varying scores and stuff, not as much crossover. Then at the end, we're going to average them all together so that there's just one BGR score that we can put on BGG and Discord and stuff like that. It's just easier to have one score, but some of you might want our personal opinions.
Sure. Well, let's just go in order of final thoughts.
Sure.
Spencer.
I kind of wish I could give this 2 different scores. One for the fact that it's a party game, and one for, well, this is me. So as a party game, I would give this one an 8.
Nice.
But this is me. Things I like, this is a 7.
No, it's fine. 7. 7's good. Bobby.
I'm going to split the difference on Spencer and give it a 7.5.
Nice.
Daniel?
I also fall on a 7 here, mainly because I am just on the verge of recommending this. This is I do recommend it, but is like one of those kind of situations, and so I'm going to hit that 7 mark of recommendation for me.
So I think originally, if I was going to give it the original version of this a 9, I'll knock it down a point for the card and I'll just say an 8. Yeah, just for the components. Gameplay is all there. IP is great. And it implements the IP well, I think. So.
All right, so everybody together. 7.4.
Yeah, there we go. That's not bad. Very, very solid outing.
Makes Bob right again.
His words, not mine.
I will say, if any of this sounds interesting to you, you're at a big box store, you can get this game for a very reasonable price, and you'll have a very solid social deduction game on your shelf.
This is also a fantastic family weight kind of game. Like you can bring this out at a family night, and you can play at 4, and it will still feel good.
Yeah.
And not a lot of games do that. That's probably one of the reasons Bob likes this one, is because you can play at a low player count, and it doesn't feel like contrived and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, again, I think the target audience of this game are going to get what they wanted, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. End of the day, this is a recommend, and yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So, again, we know Joey Vigour a little bit, so much that I pronounced his name wrong for many years. And now I'm going to make sure I say it right.
Vigour is cooler.
It is kind of cooler. Sorry, name. Joey. But no, seriously though, you know, if you see this on the shelf and you're curious, it's worth taking a flyer on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
thanks for watching. We have links in the description to our Discord and Facebook and all that kind of stuff if you guys are interested in hearing more from us. So don't forget to do all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
I've been Spencer.
Dan.
Dan's a Mind Flayer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.